Welcome to Retiring Well, where it's our job to help you enjoy financial security in any economy. Well, I'm really excited about today's show because we're talking about the top 10 investor scams. We do not want you to get scammed out there. So this is a really important topic. You want to pay attention. Now, before we jump into that, of course, I need to introduce you to our co-hosts and retirement planning specialists.
And in Birmingham, Alabama, this is Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor and your retirement planning specialist, Tad Hill.
Retiring Well with Michael Reese, providing financial security in any economy. Today is the day you can take control of your financial future and eliminate worrying about your money forever. Retiring Well, featuring Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor Tad Hill, founder of Freedom Financial Group in Birmingham.
The top 10 investment scams that are going on out there today. It's important that you're aware of these so that you can protect yourself and not get caught. Here, this list comes from the North American Securities Administrators Association, otherwise lovingly known as the NASAA. So it's like NASA with another A. Anyway, it's a governmental organization, and they put this list out every year. I obviously am not going to have time to go into great detail on each one of them, but I do want to make sure that we hit all 10 of them. So here we go. This is in the order. They have it ranked roughly in order of prevalence or seriousness. The first one, Ponzi schemes. Well, you would imagine after Bernie Madoff made off with billions of dollars, you would imagine that we would all be aware of this and we would not get caught. Well, apparently that's not the case. People are still getting caught in Ponzi schemes, and you want to pay attention later in the show during our Chalk Talk segment, because I'm going to share with you an easy way for you to spot if you might be getting involved in a Ponzi scheme. So pay attention when that comes up. Next, number 2, senior investment fraud. And what they're saying here is that the current economic environment of low interest rates, a volatile stock market, and financial scandals have given rise to various complex schemes targeted at seniors feeling the effects of the marketplace. If you're involved with something that's a little complicated, you're not real sure what's going on, it's a good sign to be careful. Promissory notes, that's where people are saying, hey, lend me money and I'll pay you a higher than average rate of return. Watch out for those. That's number 3. Number 4, unscrupulous broker-dealer representatives. Now, this is a sad but true fact, and that is that there are a lot of people in the financial industry that really don't have your best interest at heart, but their best interest at heart. Always look for a fiduciary when it comes to your financial planning. That will go a long way to eliminating a bunch of these unscrupulous broker-dealer representatives. Next one, number 5, affinity fraud. Now, this is the one that really just breaks my heart sometimes, because I'll read stories about how a financial person connected with, say, a church, he or she has meetings with other people who are members of the church, and it turns out it's nothing more than a scam. That always breaks my heart, because you're hoping that that would be well vetted out, but often it's not. Be careful of things like that. Number 6, insurance agent fraud. And I'm just going to read this. It says, while most insurance agents are honest professionals, and that's true, every now and then there are those who get lured by high commissions into selling products that are outright fraudulent or not qualified to sell. It's important to check up on all individuals recommending purchase or sale of securities. And I'm glad they said that while most insurance people are professionals, yes, they are. But like every industry, there's a few bad apples. Number 7, prime bank high yield investment schemes. Obviously, low interest rate environment, you're going to get caught in those. You got to watch out for things that sound too good to be true. Number 8, internet fraud. It's new. Got to watch out for that stuff. Number 9 and number 10. Number 9 is mutual fund business practice. Number 10 is variable annuities. both mutual funds and variable annuities, they are investment tools, and they can be appropriate for you or not appropriate for you depending on the circumstances. What the NASAA is saying here is you want to just make sure that you are investing those in a way that makes sense for you. So there you go, that's the top 10 lists. Now what I want to do next is I want to bring up our co-hosts and share their experiences with different problems that they've had in the past.
And now, featuring Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor Tad Hill.
Well, this is a serious concern for anybody who is entrusting somebody else to help them with their money. You always have to be aware of the legitimacy of who you're working with and the appropriateness of whether those recommendations or investments are right for you. So some of the things on this list, Mike, are things where people are just outright stealing money. Others, it's really more they're making recommendations that may or may not be appropriate for folks. So a couple of things for you to be aware of. The big way, or the main way, to avoid making sure that you're a victim, or to avoid being a victim of a Ponzi scheme, is to make sure that whoever you're working with has a third-party custodian. So what that means is that your money is being held by a separate organization. So an example of third-party custodians are E-Trade, Scottrade, Ameritrade, Charles Schwab. Our personal custodian for us at Freedom Financial is Fidelity Investments. Fidelity is one of the oldest, most respected financial institutions in the world. But what you want to make sure of is that if you're transferring money, you're not transferring money into the name of the organization that's going to be helping you. So for example, our company name is Freedom Financial. Well, we would never allow somebody to write a check out for their investments to Freedom Financial, nor would we transfer any accounts into Freedom Financial's name. We transfer to our third-party custodian, which is Fidelity Investments. So the way to make sure of, whether you're working with us or anybody, that you can't be a victim of a Ponzi scheme is to make sure there's a third-party custodian. Now, and there have been a lot of articles written on that. I'm not the first person to talk about it. It's obviously been a hot topic since 2008. The other side of things, though, is making sure that recommendations are right for you, because there are a whole lot of things on that top 10 list that really aren't illegal. It's just things that you have to be very careful about. And the biggest mistakes that I see people making, and I'm talking about people in our industry, I'm not talking about our clients. Really, it's folks that are, licensed to to buy and sell securities, or they're licensed insurance agents or licensed financial planners. They don't do adequate planning and discovery before they start recommending investments. There's a big difference between going through a retirement planning process or any kind of financial planning process and having someone sell you investments. So here's a good way to know the difference. If you've sat down with somebody and the bulk of your conversation have been around either products or investments and the features and benefits of a product or an investment. So you mentioned variable annuities, Mike. If the whole conversation is about how wonderful this variable annuity is, or if the whole conversation is about the performance or track record of a portfolio manager or a mutual fund, and it seems like the entire conversation that you're having is around the investments, then chances are very, very good you're working with an investment salesperson. If the bulk of the conversation is around what's going on in your life, what are all of the moving parts, what are all the things that need to be thought through, how much income are we going to need, when are we going to need it, what happens if one of you passes away first, how do we take care of all of these things, that's a planning process. If you want to go through a planning process, then give us a call. If you want an investment salesperson, there are a lot of those out there. So that's really the difference in how you make sure that things are right for you.
There you have it, folks. Some great information for you. And again, the number's on the screen. You have the opportunity to take some action, have a professional look at your circumstances. I highly recommend that you do. Now, I don't want you going anywhere, because coming up, we are going to have both Chalk Talk and our question of the week.
Let's talk about a customized retirement plan. Retiring today is not what it used to be. What works for your neighbor may not be best for you. Yet everywhere you turn, it seems like financial firms are giving cookie-cutter advice.
Your circumstances are different than anyone else's. As a chartered retirement planning counselor, my Retirement Roadmap Review is designed to uncover the must-know facts for your situation before we start implementing solutions.
It's one more reason that now, more than ever, you need to talk to a retirement planning specialist. Why not call the number on your screen right now? We'd love to talk to you about protecting your retirement. You've worked your entire life to become financially secure so you can enjoy a comfortable retirement. But when you get there, what's next? Wall Street and the financial media flood the airwaves with information about what you should and shouldn't do. But who are they working for? Who can you trust?
For the past 17 years, I've focused on helping people just like you protect and preserve their retirement security. And during that time, I've identified 7 different lies, each with the potential to destroy the security that you've worked so hard to build. I believe that you deserve to know the truth. And so I've built a website that hosts a series of videos that's free of charge that you can watch in the comfort and safety of your own home.
You don't want to miss out on these powerful videos that shine the light of truth on what can be a confusing topic. Why don't you go there now? It's absolutely free, and you'll be glad you did. www.retirementincomelines.com. You deserve to know the truth.
Welcome back. It's time for our question of the week.
This week's question comes to us from Greg in Jackson, Michigan. He writes, "How do you know when it's best to take Social Security? Should I take it as soon as I can at age 62 or wait until my full retirement age?"
You know, this is a question that normally does not get enough analysis put into the answer to the question. And normally when people come in, they've kind of got one or two ideas already in mind. One of the things I hear a lot is, look, I'm taking my Social Security early because I'm worried that it's not going to be there, and I want to make sure I get mine while I still can. And other folks are of the opposite mindset, that they want to take it as late as possible because they want to make sure that they're getting as much every year as they can. And the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of different permutations and ways that you can take Social Security, particularly if you're married. If you're married, there are a lot of different moving parts there and a lot of different strategies that you can implement. We actually did a show on this a couple of months ago about how to make sure that you were using the right strategy when you take Social Security, because there are strategies like file and suspend, or using your spousal benefits for a period of time and then moving over to your benefit. So there are a lot of different things that you can do there. I will say this, because I want this to be as informative as possible, but everybody's circumstances are different. But as a rule of thumb, it is a good idea to wait if you can afford to wait. Because the longer you wait, the more your payment is going to go up. Depending on when you were born, your increase could be 7 or 8%. On average, it's between 7 and 8% every year in terms of how much your monthly payment will go up for every 12 months that you wait past age 62. The other thing is, if you're prior to full retirement age, which is 66 for most people, if you're planning on doing any kind of part-time work, you could actually get penalized if you earn too much money, which right now is about $14,500, so you can't earn much more than that. So if you're curious, what are the right strategies for taking your Social Security, and particularly if you're married, because that's really where most of the options come in, give us a call. We'll sit down and run our Social Security Analyzer software for you that will show you all of the different ways you can do it and what the most likely best scenario is for you. Now, part of the problem here is that the best way to know which way to do it is to know when you're going to pass away, but we don't know that. So we have to deal with the things that we do know, and our Social Security Analysis software does a great job of helping people do that. So give us a call. We'll be happy to help you out.
Do you want your question answered on Retiring Well? Send us an email to question@retiringwell.tv.
This week in Chalk Talk, we want to talk about what I regard anyway as a simple way for you to determine whether or not you might be involved in a Ponzi scheme. And what I'm going to do here on the board behind me, I've drawn out kind of a graphic representation. I want to share with you what it should look like and what it looks like when the Ponzi scheme thing starts to rear its ugly head. So let's start with the way it should be. We start with you. So as you can tell, I'm not the world's greatest artist. I can barely get my stick figures put together well, but here we have you, and this is your money, your hard-earned retirement funds or your hard-earned investment account, whatever it is. Anyway, you decide you want to get some help. So you go to ABC Financial, generic financial firm, and you meet with a financial advisor, and he or she recommends some planning for you. You like that planning, so you decide you want to implement his or her recommendations. What should happen? Well, what should happen is your portfolio here, your hard-earned money, that should be transferred to a custodian of some type. And a custodian is really nothing more than a big corporate company that holds your money for you. They send you statements, and you can call them up on the phone and double check things. So it's a big corporate custodian. It might be Fidelity. You may be familiar with them. It might be Schwab or TD Ameritrade. It could be, a custodian could be a big Wall Street firm like a Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, Wells Fargo, one of those big guys. It could be an insurance company, Jackson National, Pacific Life, Allianz, Aviva are some that come to mind. They hold your money, and this person has access. They can see your accounts just like you can, but ultimately you control the accounts. That's how it should be done. You should be getting statements from that custodian directly, mailed or emailed to you. And you might get some statements from your advisor, but you want to rely on the statements from the custodian. Now, how do you know if you might be in a Ponzi scheme? Well, here's what happens. Instead of your money going to a custodian, the advisor has the money going to them. In addition to that, your statements come from your advisor. Generally speaking, unless your advisor works for one of these big Wall Street firms or what we've mentioned over here as custodian, that's trouble. So there you go. I hope that helps. That's Chalk Talk.
Let's talk about retirement income. Studies show that a large number of retirees are worried about running out of money. Broken promises from banks, Wall Street, and the folks in Washington, D.C. may have you worried about your own retirement security.
Having a predictable income stream is a key ingredient to protecting your retirement. One potential way to do that is to have your income stream based on math and not markets.
It's one more reason that now, more than ever, you need to talk to a retirement planning specialist. Why not call the number on your screen right now? We'd love to talk to you about protecting your retirement.
Hi, Michael Reese here, and what I found is in that critical period, the 5 years before retirement, all the way to the 5 years after retirement, in that 10-year period, I find that over and over again, Americans are making mistakes with their financial planning that quite frankly, are easily avoided. And it really almost breaks my heart because if you make little mistakes in this period of time, you can have huge consequences. So in order to help you not make those mistakes, I've put together a simple website with some free videos from me to you to help you be smart about your planning. The website is called 3mistakes.com. It's the number 3 spelled out, T-H-R-E-E, 3mistakes.com. Why don't you go there today?
Okay, Birmingham, it's that time again for our story of the week, our retirement planning story of the week. And this week we're going to talk about Phil and Nancy. Phil and Nancy came in to see me about 6 or 8 months ago, and they had both retired, were very concerned about market risk, and had worked with their banker to put their money in a variable annuity. And so the topic of this week's show is 10 common retirement scams. And while I am not suggesting that variable annuities are a retirement scam because they're appropriate for a lot of people, anytime you're going to use any product or any investment, you have to be very aware of what your circumstances are and how this product or investment is going to behave. So in this case, there was an income rider on the variable annuity that was going to grow at a fixed 6% rate. Now, they misunderstood, and they thought that their actual account value was going to grow at 6% fixed every year. So no matter what happened, they were going to get 6% on their account value. This was actually for the income value only, it was going to go up by 6%. So that means if you're going to take a paycheck from it, that account value will increase by 6% until you start taking that paycheck. And there are a lot of other moving parts there. The payout percentage, how much you get every year as a percentage of the income value that we don't really have time to talk about here today. But what they didn't understand was that their account value was actually invested in the stock market. So if they were going to end up taking their money out and doing something other with it than turning it into a pension or turning it into an income stream, they actually weren't protecting their principal. And all of those things they were confused about and didn't understand. But the biggest problem with this was, this is an example of completely inappropriate solution for someone's circumstances. Phil is 69 years old, or was 69 years old at the time that he put his money, and it was the bulk of their life savings, in this variable annuity. And at 70, he's going to have to start taking required minimum distributions because the money that he put in was in an IRA. So at 70 and a half, the government makes you start taking money out, called required minimum distributions. Well, this variable annuity had a clause in the contract that if you take any withdrawals at all, including required minimum distributions, that 6% that he thought was guaranteed didn't get accredited for that year. So any year you take a withdrawal, you don't get the 6%. So this 6% that he was counting on goes away if you take any withdrawals out. He's 69, the money's in an IRA, so the government's going to make him start taking money out at 70 and a half. So when we called the variable annuity company and we really understood the ins and outs of this particular product, we found out that not only was it not designed to protect his principal like he thought it was, but it was actually designed to break. So he was going to have to start taking money out, and he wasn't going to get the 6% he had gotten promised. Now, we were actually able to fix this circumstance through putting a different kind of solution in place that didn't have those kind of restrictions, but not all the time are we able to fix these things. Sometimes we can't. So you've got to be very, very careful about understanding your circumstances and what the product or investment is going to behave like. So that's what a good retirement planning process does. It sits down and takes a lot of time on the front end, making sure we're clear on what we're trying to accomplish long before we start worrying about where to put the money. If you want that kind of process for you, give us a call.
There you have it, folks. Another great story about why it's so important to work with a retirement planning specialist, someone who can help you make sure that you are on track to a comfortable retirement. Make sure you take advantage of your opportunity to sit down with someone that knows what they're doing. All you got to do is call the number on the screen. Okay, it's time for us to get another treat from my dog Charlie. All right, so my dog Charlie, who as you all know is ridiculously brilliant, brought me this article. It's titled, "The Trustee Report, Social Security and Medicare Both Broke Within 20 Years." Basically what's happening here is every year the trustees come out and they tell you the report of how long the money's going to last for Social Security and Medicare. And they say, look, we had about 20 years the way things are going. I'm sure you're going to see Congress maybe take some action, but it reminded me, actually, to be honest, it reminded Charlie of how Congress sometimes does math. And he found for you a terrific little math example from Ma and Pa Kettle. And we're both suspicious that Congress does math like this sometimes. So guys, why don't you go ahead and roll that tape.
About the percentage. I figure 75% to you, Pa and Ma, and 25% divided between the 5 of us. Yida, Crowbar, myself, Tom, and the baby. That makes 5% for each one of us.
Billy, you're cheating yourself. If there's 25% divided among the 5 of you, that's 14% apiece.
Oh, no, listen, Pa. I wouldn't cheat you. You know I wouldn't. Now, look here. I'll show you. Let me rub this out here. And now, 25 divided by 5 is 5. You see, 5 won't go into 2, will it? No. But 5 goes into 25 5 times, you see?
No, you're wrong, Billy. Now, I'm a pretty good mathematician. Now, 5 into 25... 5 won't go into 2, will it?
No.
But 5 goes into 5 once. Now, we didn't use the 2 before, so we bring it down here. Now, 5 into 20 goes 4 times. There you are. 5 into 25, 14.
No, look, Pa. Let me prove it to you now by multiplication. 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25.
Really, I'm surprised you're learning.
Huh?
I'm surprised that you're learning. Now I'll show you. 5 times 14 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. 25. That's it.
No, look, Ma. Look, you're wrong there because I'll prove it to you. We'll put down 5 14s here. 14, 14, 14. There. Now I'll prove to you by addition that 5 14s is not 25. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There you are. Better brush up, Billy. I don't want to see you boys cheated.
Both Charlie and I always crack up when we watch that. Hope you enjoyed it. That is Charlie's Treat. Folks, that's our show for the week. Hope you have a great weekend.